Paul McCartney wrote Her Majesty during a quiet escape to Scotland in November 1968, while staying at High Park Farm with Linda Eastman. He was testing audio levels during a Radio Luxembourg interview when he first played the song for disc jockey Tony MacArthur on November 20th, 1968. This tiny ditty, written in the style of traditional English music hall songs reminiscent of George Formby, was inspired by Queen Elizabeth II herself. McCartney described it as, quote, basically monarchist, with a mildly disrespectful tone, end quote, but, quote, very tongue-in-cheek, calling it, quote, almost like a love song to the Queen, end quote. The song's journey to immortality began on July 2, 1969, when McCartney arrived early at Abbey Road Studios and recorded it alone in just 3 takes. Originally, Her Majesty was meant to fit between Mean Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam in the famous Abbey Road medley, but on July 30th, during the mixing process, McCartney had second thoughts. He told the young tape operator John Kurlander, "I don't like Her Majesty. Throw it away." Kurlander, just 18 years old and only months into his job at EMI Studios, had been explicitly instructed by his supervisors to never destroy any Beatles recordings. So instead of tossing the tape in the bin, he cut it out of the medley and accidentally left off the final chord. Following EMI protocol, he stuck about 20 seconds of red leader tape before it and tacked it onto the end of the master tape. The next morning, Malcolm Davies at Apple Studios cut a playback lacquer of the entire sequence, and even though Kurlander had written on the box that Her Majesty was unwanted, Davies also followed the never throw anything away rule and included it at the end. When McCartney heard this rough acetate with the song appearing after 14 seconds of silence following the end, he loved the accidental placement. As McCartney later reflected, the Beatles always picked up on accidental things. It came as a nice little surprise there at the end. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. The Beatles had received their MBEs from Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace on October 26, 1965, making McCartney's cheeky musical Valentine to Her Majesty even more meaningful. Decades later, in 2002, McCartney performed Her Majesty live for the first and only time at the Queen's Golden Jubilee celebration in the gardens of Buckingham Palace. After the show, when McCartney jokingly asked the Queen if they'd be doing it again next year, she replied with characteristic wit, "Not in my garden, it won't." What started as a throwaway song became rock music's first hidden track, setting a precedent that would influence artists for decades to come. Thanks to an 18-year-old tape operator's diligence and a series of fortunate accidents, this 23-second musical joke became one of the most charming footnotes in Beatles history.